What's up out there, everybody? David Cravens with the Relentless Hope podcast. When I go to get a new pair of sunglasses, there's only one sunglasses I choose, and that's Neven Eyewear. We're a proud affiliate and sponsored by them, and that's all you'll see us wearing. They're ready for land, air, or sea. If you break them or lose them, they replace them. Go there today, NevenEyewear.com. More choices than you can shake a stick at. So don't forget, Neven Eyewear. Hey, what's up out there? It's David Cravens with the Relentless Hope podcast down here in not so sunny Southwest Florida today.
Not today.
With my beautiful savage wife.
Do we have to do this every time?
Shauna Cravens.
What's up, everybody?
How are you
Shauna
over there?
Cravens.
Looking good in that pink.
Chilling, buddy. Chill. I love these jerseys. What you knocking off?
No plan B. No plan B, because there's no plan B in our marriage. And
That's
that was
right.
what somebody told us when we were going to get divorced. I think it
That's
was
from
probably the
Michelle.
third time or second time we had divorce papers drawn up. And she said, she wrote on a piece of paper, no plan B.
Mhm.
And that's where it all started. Right, baby?
That's it.
And we're still together.
Here we are.
She divorced me twice this morning, but she married me by the time we got here. She loves me, and we love Jesus. Okay? No, so here we are again. Thank everybody who's been out there liking, subscribing, sharing. We're beyond humbled. Anybody who wants to listen to us, especially me, sometimes the nonsense I
Crazy
talk. But
fools.
we thank everybody who's came on here and been a guest. Shout out to our homegirl over there on the controls. Our daughter, who's like our daughter, who's not our daughter, but she's our homegirl daughter. Also running the controls at all times, Miss Diana. We love her. Today we got some fun guests in here.
Yeah, we do.
It's funny how you meet
My
people,
peeps.
and well, especially me. Not everybody gets my sense of humor or personality, and either they like me or they don't like me. There's not. If you go to my hometown and you go, David Cravens, either they'll be like, Dave, that's my boy, or they'll be like, I can't stand that obnoxious, loud dude. Thanks. I mean, so we went to Hutchinson Island, which we had our buddy Josh Nair on here, and that's where he lives. And we went over there to do some DDPY with him. Shout out DDPY. Shout out Josh Nair. We love you, homie. And we got to meet this couple. So as soon as we were working out on the beach together, and then we ate lunch together, and then we went to the house, and then we ate again.
Yes.
And then we just talked like high school kids. Then we left. We were leaving. We went inside the house, and then we talked at the table
For
and
another
standing at
hour.
the
Yeah,
bar for
easy.
probably another hour in the
Yeah.
kitchen. The girls talking to me. And then we went to the driveway,
Yeah.
and then we were all saying bye, still talking outside.
Easy flow.
And I was sober
conversation.
as sober could be. But you know what? The good thing about it was you meet like-minded people from all different walks of life
Mhm.
and that have a story. And nobody's story is more important than the other. And I think sometimes we
Yeah.
think our story is not important, or we think, what do we have to offer? Or we think, who wants to listen to that? And I was intrigued by your guys' story. And not only did I like you, and Mark kept me laughing the whole time and just
Oh, man.
cracking me up, and Josh, and Bonnie, and everybody. But when you guys kind of shared your story, and like I said, we talked for hours. So
Yeah.
we were just telling each other and talking about everything. So we've got Marc and Bonnie Lemieux. Right? I said that right. That's French, by the way.
French, yeah.
That's right.
Hey, I know a little French.
Bonjour, je
Yeah.
m'appelle Jonah. Comment vous l'appelez-vous?
Oh,
Yeah.
Got me beat, girl.
I didn't
Well,
learn
then I
that in
know.
Spanish.
Ooh,
but
how you say salvage in French? La savage. But no, thank you guys for driving over from the other coast,
Thank
from
you.
Hutchinson Island.
First time
Yeah.
over?
Yeah,
Dedication.
first time over.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, and you guys coming to be on here just to talk to us two yahoos. You know what I mean? We're wild.
Sorry
you know,
about the weather,
But,
guys.
It's all
you know,
right.
you guys been. How do I say this? I'm not. You know who you are out there. I'm not going to say your name. There's a lot of people talk about supporting you.
Yeah.
Okay, they see what you're doing and they do, and they go, "Oh yeah, man," but they don't support you.
Right.
You guys knew that we do clean calls. Some of
Yep.
the first people to buy it,
Yes.
and do our thing to support us. You know, you watch our stuff, you share
Yes.
stuff. So thank you guys for that. You
You
know,
are
like
very
people that
welcome.
you think would do it sometimes don't, and then people all of a sudden you meet and you're doing it, and they're like, "Oh man, yeah, I see this." So thank you guys for that. We don't think of that kind of stuff lightly, like
No.
that.
I'm glad.
That
Well,
we
that's
take
good.
that, you know.
It's important. It's a good cause. And it's a great product.
Yeah,
So
Right?
look
we're
at that.
glad you got us turned on to it.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty pumped. I got my first 12 pack, and I'm
You go,
already shopping
Bonnie.
to check for the next
Yeah,
one.
they're good.
Yes.
We
Aren't
get
they
them
good,
coming.
Bonnie?
They are good.
Absolutely. And
Yep.
the cause is amazing.
It is.
That she's talking about clean cause yerba mate right
baby.
here. Every can lends a hand. It's healthy energy, great. So many different flavors, so many different
Pop it,
things.
Bobby.
So
Pop
check
it,
it out.
Bobby.
You can pop them, drink them. I've already drank 2 today, so I got to
Slouch 'em
go
up.
down
He's
a little
not
bit.
allowed to have any
I'm not
more?
allowed to have any more. But, you know, you guys like us, Josh and Eric came in your life, you know, living on the
Yes.
island and meeting them, and you
Yeah.
started doing DDPY,
We
Yeah.
did.
right?
It's a crazy, there are so many comparisons that that Mark and Josh have, and we have with Josh. We met him at one of our favorite places, the Dune Bar.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where we worked out at on
That's
the beach.
right.
They have some
Shout
good
out.
food there,
They have
man.
some
Yeah.
great
That
food.
breakfast, boy, that was some good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out Dune Bar.
Yeah.
That's right. It's
Yeah.
a good place.
So we met Josh there. We would go there every now and then, and he would go every now and then, and we just never went on the same day. So when we met up, it was we had just moved here. We've been here almost 2 years,
Right.
From Massachusetts.
You guys couldn't tell that when you hear Mark talk. He's from
Oh,
Massachusetts.
Just wait till you hear
Yeah.
Mark.
I love it.
I'm like
Saving
trying
me
not
for
to say
last.
Mac.
Mac,
I was going to say Mac and Josh.
Yeah.
You know,
I love it, though.
That's it.
I
Mac
love
and
it.
Josh. But anyway, so they started talking, and I just kind of was listening in to their conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
birthday boy.
That's mine.
Yeah.
Mac.
Yeah, so we were just sitting there and, having some beverages, and
Yeah.
I was kind of listening to a conversation, that was going on, and someone had mentioned that they were, said the word Gemini,
Right.
So I'm thinking, I'm a Gemini. So I was like, who's the Gemini? And Josh was like, I am. And I said, oh, well, so am I.
Right.
And I said, oh, well, cool. What month? Because you can be more than one
Right,
month,
right,
right?
right.
He's like, June. I'm like, oh, me too. What day? The 15th. I'm like, get out of here. I was born on June 15th. How
Right.
crazy is that? I'm like, okay, well, what year were you born in? He's like, 1969. I was like, no way. I'm like, you call your mom, I'll call my mom. You find out what time you were born. I'll
Right.
find
Call
out
your
what
mom.
time
See
I was
who's
born, and
older.
We'll see
Yeah.
who's older. 'Cause
Right.
I'm like,
Who was
had to
who's
pull out
older?
I don't know. My mother doesn't remember.
They don't. Yeah, they don't remember. Suppose you get to
You
a
know.
point.
Thanks,
It's
Mom.
been a while.
It has been a
That's
while.
crazy. Like, did we just become best
So
friends?
That's
Like,
exactly
that
what
really
they
what
said.
happened,
That's
right?
exactly
So-
what happened.
We're doing the driver's license thing because, nobody believed each other.
Not
and-
nowadays.
Yeah.
And it
You're
just
like,
kind of,
is your name Josh? No.
so through that conversation, I had left for a little bit, and I come back, and Josh had been talking with Bonnie, and, the whole DDPY thing kind of came up.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and so I come back into the conversation, and he's like, dude, I can help your wife. I want to help,
Right,
and
yeah.
I have these skills, and then this conversation, and then I'm talking with Bon, and
Mm.
she's telling me about filling me in on what they were talking about while I was gone, and
Right.
You're always like, people say that stuff, they
Yeah, all
wanna
the
help
time.
or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like what I'm saying about
But there's
support.
no
right? I
meaning
say stuff
behind
all the
that.
time.
That's right.
So
and
there's
it was
nothing
our
on it.
first time meeting him.
And you're like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the guy
You
you
know
meet at
what
the
to
bar,
expect.
and
So you give a side eye.
we
kind
did
of
have
thing.
a lot of, similarities and
Yeah.
connections. It's
Right.
Yeah,
it's-
well, and then he started talking about DDP,
Mhm.
and I was like, "What? I loved wrestling."
Right.
I was
Yeah.
at WrestleMania with family and friends,
Right.
and
So you knew it. Yeah.
I
Yes.
loved them all, and Diamond Dallas Page was
One of the faves.
one of the faves, and he was kind of an underdog to me.
That's why.
and-
Right.
That's why I always loved
Yeah.
it. too.
Absolutely.
Right.
He started late. He
So-
was older than everybody
Right.
else.
Everybody
Yeah.
told him he couldn't.
Yeah.
and he's a wrestler.
Yeah.
And he did it.
And I'm like, I don't understand
Right.
how wrestling and yoga
Go together.
Go together.
And
How
neither did
does
he
this
when he
work?
invented
Yeah.
So,
it. You know?
worst shape of my life. I was in the worst shape of my life.
Wow.
And it was, we get to your 50s
Oh,
and
yeah.
you have new things every day that
Right.
just
Kind of like your car.
make you
Like, when that
wonder,
light come
why
on,
do I
blow
get out
time.
of bed?
Yeah,
Why do
what
I
is
even
happening
bother?
right now?
Like, do
Who
I,
is this?
you know, I now only look in a mirror that, you know, to put makeup on.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I try not to ever look at myself anyway.
Yeah, 'cause
So
we don't like what we see.
that's right. And it gets harder and harder. And, you know, obviously it's a change that has come over 20 years or more of
Right.
just letting yourself go.
I get it.
and
Right.
Me too. I was the same way.
thinking I've always been skinny. I've always been in shape. It's going to follow me through my life.
I think-
The
You know,
metabolism stops.
guess what?
And you don't
Way
even realize
wrong.
sometimes
And you
how
don't.
far it's gone.
Yeah,
until you
now
start
where
doing
we're
it.
That's
at.
right. And so now it affects your mental health. It affects relationships.
Everything.
It affects getting up and going to work every day. You know, I mean, it affects
It
everything.
affects your whole life. And what
every
you
part
just
of
touched on
life.
a lot of people. It affects relationships.
Everything.
It affects husband and wife relationships.
Right.
Like, hey,
I'm
I
in
don't
the
know what to-
closet, like
Yeah, but-
crying half the time, and he's like, "Oh my god, what can I
wrong?
do? What can I?"
Right.
And I'm like, "You
Yeah.
can't do anything."
Right.
So when Josh came into our lives, needless to say, it was like a last hope for me.
Right on top.
That's what it
Wow.
felt like
Oh,
for
that's
me.
awesome.
And I've never been unmotivated or, you know, I taught aerobics back in the 90s, you know, like it was
Right.
Little
Yeah.
Jane Fonda, Richard Simmons. with the
Fitness
Richard
side-
Simmons.
Woo, bring out my
R.I.P.
tie.
You know,
Richard
it's funny because actually, at the same time frame when I met Josh,
Right.
I had just saw this ad for like this, you know, exercise
Right.
or, you know, like an app, you know, and it was
Yeah.
everybody's probably seen it. It's
Right.
all over the thing. Carbs are bad. No, anyway,
Right.
so this whole thing. So I actually had bought this app. Never even opened it yet. I just purchased it and was waiting kind of for a time to be right for us to.
He was
Right.
very
start this.
positive
And then
and
ultimately,
yeah.
you know, like all of a sudden we meet Josh and we started doing that.
So it all was
Yeah.
like boom, boom,
So
boom,
then it was
boom.
like after a little
was
while, I'm
timing.
like, you know, I showed him. I'm like, look, I downloaded
Crazy.
this app and
crazy the timing.
I'd
It
never
was
even
meant to
opened it
be.
really.
Right.
And now I'm doing this with you.
Right.
And,
right.
Something's happening.
It
and,
is.
and we worked out with you guys on the beach.
That
You
was
guys did
so
good.
So
cool.
much fun.
And you guys had been doing it for a little while.
Yeah,
then.
so
Yeah.
we started in we met Josh the end of February, maybe beginning of March. Of course, you gotta love Florida being
Yeah.
out on
Come
a beach
on.
Right.
bar in
That's
Yeah.
February
right.
and March.
Right.
But
Beautiful.
and so like Mark had said earlier, he had gotten up to go to the restroom, and you know, Josh, he's just so easy to talk
Right.
to and
Mhm.
get along with, and he has a good energy. And he leaned over and he said, you know, he started talking to me about it, and he's like, and I looked at him and I started to cry. I had this look of desperation.
Mm.
And he just went, "Oh, honey, no, no, I can help you. I can help you." And that would be when
Oh.
Mark came in, and I was like,
He's like, what's
Yeah.
happening here?
Yeah.
yeah. So
Right.
the journey
for a
started
minute.
immediately.
Right.
And
Wow.
he taught us, you know, I love to cook and bake.
Right.
Yeah,
I grew up on
Bonnie,
Bonnie
sugar.
a hell of a cook.
We had
okay?
some food now. We had some food, healthy food.
Thank
Even
you.
Josh got his own special hummus or
Guacamole.
something.
He does.
Guacamole
He
or
gets-
something.
No
Yes.
onions. Josh,
Josh,
doesn't do
we
onions.
take care of those who take care of
The
us.
three
That's
amigos,
right.
I call you guys, right?
Absolutely,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
But and so you guys started that.
We
you know, you
did.
started doing the DDPY when
Yeah.
you said February, right?
Yep.
And the cool thing about it is, it's like a lot of people sign up for DDPY, like us, right? We did it. We never met nobody.
Yeah.
We did that. You guys got like one of the main dudes,
right.
Well,
right?
seriously,
Your homie. He's
Didn't
your
even
homie.
realize it at
super
the time, you
spoiled.
know?
Super
He's your
spoiled.
homie,
If
you
guys
he's
are
not,
blessed.
if he's not coming around to work out with us, we come up with excuses on why we can't do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
That's what you'll
he's-
do.
Oh, yeah.
He is our motivator, and everybody should have one, but
Yeah.
not everybody can. So it made me realize that it's so motivating to have that energy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I need that energy.
Right.
And it's, you know, I'd much rather go, you know, play in my little craft area
Right.
or oh, I'm on my feet, or oh, we'll go for a walk. It's just not the same.
It's
like
not
you
the
need
same.
a
Yeah.
diet change.
Yep. The life
You need a
change.
life change.
Yep.
And Joshua Nair has changed our lives.
Yep.
Yes.
He
In fact,
really
I go
has.
around my mother who's
Oh
used
my
to always
gosh.
cook
Aw.
everything.
Love
You
that.
know, she's always like, when you going to get done with that diet thing you
Right.
guys
You're
are
like,
on?
"No, I
'Cause I want
changed
to
my
start making
life,
you
Mom."
cookies and stuff
Right.
again. And
Right.
I'm like,
Which is a
it's
good
not-
mom. She's
It
supposed to
is.
make you
Yes.
cookies.
Absolutely.
Not a
Yes, she's the
diet
best.
we're on. It was a life
It's a
change.
life
That's
change.
what I
Right.
had to explain. Somebody asked me
Yes.
too, not too
Yes.
long ago. They're like, "Oh yeah, you can't eat that. You're still on a diet." I said, "Bro, I'm not on a diet. I changed my life from the way I think of
That's
stuff, the
right.
way I look at
That's
stuff,
right.
the way I handle stuff, the way I do my marriage, the way I do everything. I changed like my life, man. And that's where people go wrong sometimes. They think it's a diet. I changed to where something I can do for the rest of my life. And I've said this before, DDPY will be part of our life forever because it
Yeah.
makes my body feel better
Yeah.
and it works. And just like Josh will be
good
part of
thing.
my life as my homie because, when he came in and he's just an
Right.
overall
Just fill your
great human
tank,
being.
You know,
Yes.
like
You
when
know?
you're feeling that.
Positive.
Yeah. you
Okay,
just
so
fill
that's
that
how we
tank.
know each other. We're all on the same DDPY
Yes, sir.
fam journey.
We are.
We're all doing that, and we got to hang out, and we just kind of hit it off. And,
Yes.
and you and John, more than guys exchanging numbers. You know what I mean? Like, they kind of start talking about.
Well, that's
crafts.
how the guys get into
Yeah,
it.
that's
Right?
right.
yeah.
Well, and we'll end up putting a link to Bond's creations because she makes some
Oh,
awesome
thank
things. She
you.
made us a
Fire
fire
wreaths.
wreath to hang on our door with the C on
It's
it.
amazing.
It's
she can
but we'll have
specify
a link.
it to whatever
We'll have a
you
link
want.
in there so you can go check out what she's doing.
you.
She's making
Yes.
cool
Yeah.
stuff.
Thank you.
So,
Yes.
but what intrigued me was cool. We all doing DDPY. We're like, hey, we're all getting older, and we can do this. Is we sat down and I ask a lot of questions. I like to know about people, especially people married and what's your story, whatever,
Yep,
And
where you
I
come
know
from.
Mark, which I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you,
Very
Mark.
And I
welcome.
know
for your
you-
service.
You didn't just go do a couple years.
No.
You were in there how long?
23.
23 years, seen some
Wow.
stuff, fought for this country. So we have the right to vote. So we
Right.
got the right to drive on roads.
Yeah.
So we got the right to freedom of speech to
That's
say
right.
things that aren't even true. Most people doing these
Yeah,
days.
right.
The right, you fought for all that, man.
Right.
And we want to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And I know, us talking that night, you sharing some stuff, and just you were in it, man. I'm not anybody that served. I'm not saying that, but you career served, man. That's a different animal. You know what I mean? And so we want to thank you. But what enthralled me was we started talking about your story.
Mhm.
So they're from Massachusetts.
Maths.
If you can't tell, which I've always got this name with Massachusetts because I'm Irish.
Oh,
So
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
people, I lived in Illinois. Everybody's wearing Bulls jerseys. I'm wearing Celtics jerseys. They're like,
Oh,
dude, what are you doing? I'm like,
nice.
I'm Irish. I'm
I'm
Larry
Irish.
Bird, and I've never been to Massachusetts. I need to go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just to
God.
call because
Road
I'm
We
trip.
need a
into
road
this whole
trip.
thing.
Yeah,
you know?
we do.
Yeah, we have to
Long
road
weekend
trip.
in Boston.
So we started talking,
I am
and just
so
Mark
down.
was cracking me up when we were working out, and he was just
His
these
comments.
one-liners.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
even try.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
have
I
it.
know.
He was just
Serious.
saying these one-liners, and we're sitting there, and we're just
Just
laughing.
cracking
I'm
up.
like, and we went home that night, or back to our Airbnb, and I'm like, she's like, them are some of the two of the coolest people. I haven't laughed like that, and we needed that weekend away
Yeah,
at
we
that
did.
time. We'd been stressed. We haven't laughed like that. So then we came over for dinner to your guys and opened up your doors
Opened
to
up your
us,
home.
and we all started. We sat out, like I
Absolutely.
said, talked for hours,
Yes.
and I was enthralled. Now, how old was you guys when you first met?
I was between 13 and 14.
Right.
So
Right.
not too long ago.
Yeah. And how old was you,
Right.
Mark?
So that'd be like 14.
50. So you're like a year. You're like me and her. You guys are like me and her. Like
Yeah.
a year, almost 2
Yes.
years, but not quite. Like that's
Yes.
John and I. And so you guys were neighbors. if I remember
Pretty
right.
close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Mark was
His
riding
best
on the
friend-
motorcycle.
Yeah, he
Wah, wah, I
had
remember
his
that
dirt
part.
bike.
Yeah.
We moved in to my grandparents' house and in 1983. And the people that lived next to us, Mark was best friends with.
Right.
So even though my grandparents had lived there forever, Mark lived up the street. And
Right.
back then there was Stockwell Farm between the houses. Now there's, 30 houses.
More
Right.
houses.
Back then
Yeah.
it was country.
So
open
there
country.
was sand dunes and, whoop-de-doos on dirt bikes. Anyway,
Back
so
when kids did stuff besides
yeah,
playing
Kids
games.
were
God,
kids.
let's
Left the
wrap
house
them in a
morning,
bubble.
didn't come
Right.
home till it was
Yeah.
dark
Yeah.
out.
How's that working out?
So
for
he
you?
Yeah, right.
would he would go next door to see his friend Chris, and I have a sister, and Chris would tell him, dude, there's these two blondes that just moved in next door. And Mark's like, what are you talking about, man? I lived here my whole life. There's
Right.
only,
Where's
someone's
Where they at?
grandparents
right,
there.
right, yeah.
So he would go over Chris's, and every time he'd say, oh, there they are, Mark would look, and he wouldn't see us.
You'd miss us. You thought it
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
lie.
Mark.
Yeah, he was yanking my chain or something, but eventually he did. There they are, and I looked, and there
You're like,
they
yeah,
were,
two blondes.
working in the yard, doing like, their chores.
Yeah, we worked. We had acres. We had a garden. There was wood
Different
to be
world, right?
chopped. There
That's
was
right.
Kids
there
wouldn't know
was
what to do. We asked our
stuff to
kids to
do.
take the trash
Yeah,
out.
that's
you
right.
asked them we asked them to climb Mount Everest.
Yeah, don't
Not all
you
of
get
them,
no
some of them.
cartoons until you have
That's
your
right.
housework
That was
done.
my house.
So the weekends was dusting, like it was.
Oh, vacuuming.
worked.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You worked, but yeah. So
You guys
he
hear that out there?
Yeah,
right.
Lazy bums.
Yeah,
Instead of
yeah,
racing a bump. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
But so you seen the blondes, you're cruising on your motorbike, jumping things.
So then it was just a matter of trying to, to
Make
meet
it
her,
match up, right?
and
It's a different time. Ain't like you could go stalk her social media
No.
and be like, oh,
Right.
yeah, you had to
You
actually
got to catch her.
talk to somebody, right?
right. Wait. So finally, I ride my bike back and forth up and down in front of the house, and one
Just
pass I
waiting.
come down, the door was closed, and then I turn around and came back, and it was open. So I
He's
was like,
trying, boy. He's
You're like,
trying.
"Hey,
right. So I stopped and talked, and Bon's sister had answered the door, and I just said, she had said something to me, and I said, well, you have a sister, right?
Mhm.
And she's like, yeah, she's hiding like right here or
I was
whatever.
so
and
mad. I was like stomping my foot, going.
So you
"Shut
knew he was
up."
out there.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
hiding behind the door,
Yeah.
Oh,
just like she
buddy.
told him.
So, there
Sell
was,
out.
we said she'd ride on the
I
back of the
got
bike
it.
with me.
Yeah,
And we'd
just friends, innocent kids
Absolutely.
having fun.
hung out, we
Absolutely.
just lived up in the,
Yeah.
up the street, and
People don't
and-
believe that. Like sometimes you tell people, no,
Well-
we were innocent friends, kids
Yeah.
having fun.
Well, that's the
this and
thing,
that, you
and
know?
it always was that.
Right.
Mark was the friend that a 14-year-old girl needed
right.
Yeah.
from
This-
the opposite
This is
sex.
where the story
That
got me
wasn't
when this goes
trying to manipulate you or.
do what boys try to do.
Mhm.
And I get it. It's universal.
human nature.
It's
Yes.
not, no kid is different than the other in this aspect, but it was, being a girl, it's a little different. So you prepare yourself
Right.
for the inevitable of someone's
Here it
going to
comes.
ruin this relationship.
comes,
And
right,
yeah,
yeah.
so never, ever, ever. He
We will
was
call
like
Mark the motorcycle gentleman.
my safe haven.
Yeah.
He was a safe haven for me. And, not everybody's home life is fantastic when
Trust
they're
me,
kids.
I know.
So
Yeah.
you want out of the house as often as
Often as you
possible.
can. Right.
And anytime he had the time,
You
we
guys were
would
hanging.
get on the dirt bike and go hang out. We'd go sit on a log in my backyard and crank Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil on the
Yeah.
Oh, come
boombox.
on.
Oh,
and
my
just
mom, boy, I got in
talk.
trouble for that one time, bro. Yeah, shout. So I was like, "What are you talking about?" But
Yeah.
I had that tape
Yeah.
too. But I had
So
that
and
cassette tape.
and
Sorry, Mom, I put you.
I'm sorry. But it was we just built a friendship, and I got to tell you, it just has gone by so fast now, but with everything that has gone on, and
Yeah.
we're talking 1983, 84. It's 2024.
I had a rat tail, Mark,
Yeah.
back then.
This is
So
Mark's face.
it's
He goes,
so, and
"Yeah."
now we go out on the Harley all the time.
Yeah,
So
and
the bike.
So I want to. There's a few points that when we were talking
Mhm.
that when we met, when you said he was my safe haven, because I remember the
Absolutely.
story. I can almost remember the story just
Mhm.
from everything you're telling from behind the door and everything. He was your safe haven. So not get into it, but obviously home life wasn't,
It
different
really
ways
was
you needed to be
not.
around, and neither was mine. So I get how
Yeah.
things happen.
Yeah.
So being with Mark was a safe haven. And then now let's fast forward. So now how long would you say like you guys are riding on the motorcycle before, so now you live next door to each other, seeing each other, hanging, before you guys started to grow and maybe things, went this way or that way?
So that would be probably when you went into the army.
That's what I'm getting at. So
Yeah.
you guys were pretty
We're
tight.
friends.
Yeah, we were
friends.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he had girlfriends, I
You
had
had boyfriends.
boyfriends.
But you still
they
had a
get
friendship.
jealous.
Yeah.
You know.
Because they're like, why are you
yeah.
guys such
Right,
good friends?
and I
'Cause you
was
guys
like,
had a bond.
I'm like, why anyway, so
Right.
we would always try to please the other,
Right,
you know,
and then
and
not
we
hang
did
out.
go a long time
Right.
when he was serving that it was very sparse and sporadic that we didn't talk for a
Right.
long time
Yeah. So
because
you
life
joined
takes you away.
the service, and boom,
Yeah,
you're
right out
gone.
of high school. Yeah.
And what year was that?
I graduated in 87.
87.
And that same year I was
You were gone.
Fort Benning, Georgia, in the Army.
There you go. Started it.
Yeah, not bad. You know, I got stationed in Hawaii for my first tour, which is, you know,
Toughed it out.
18 years old, you know.
there's a
Right,
lot worse
18,
places.
no
a lot worse
parents,
places
you got
you
your
could
own
have been.
paycheck.
Places it could be, you
You're in
know.
Yeah.
So I
Hawaii.
did that for a while. I think I was there almost 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And then I actually got out and came home to work at the family business. And, you know, my grandfather and my father, they were mechanics. They owned the garage,
Right.
tow trucks, and, you know, the whole thing.
Right.
So I came home to kind of take over there and do that. And I did it for, I don't know, 8, 9 years.
Right.
Wow.
And then it was like, you know, all the different things you got to deal with in the civilian world that you don't deal with
Yeah.
in the military.
You're like, I'm going
and,
back.
You know, health insurance and just all these crazy things and how expensive
The
and just,
system.
you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going back in the Army. It was actually easier, you know.
Right.
It was just be at the right place at the right time in the right uniform, and
Right.
pretty much, you know, you can make it through the day.
Right. Right.
And I didn't realize at the time that it was gonna probably be what I was gonna do the rest of my time. You know,
Right.
that I would retire from doing it. I also had gone back in prior to 9/11,
Mhm.
so when it did happen, I was already there.
It was
you know,
on.
there wasn't a join because I was patriotic. I was
No,
already there.
You were
You were
already
there.
there. Yeah.
So, you know, whatever happened. So I ended up back in Texas. I was in Fort Hood in Texas
Right.
for a while. I was there for a real long while. It's hard to get out of that place once you get there. And the deployment started, and, you know, we were going back and forth to Iraq all the time.
Right.
And I finally was able to sneak out of there and go to another base and do a
Right.
different job for a while. And anyway, I rode that out until made a career out of it.
Right.
And I mean, if I hadn't done that, you know, all of these things wouldn't have happened. It's,
Right.
you know, like there was one time when we were sitting talking with some friends, and I'm like, you realize that one person out of the 4 of us sitting around a table makes one decision different than they did before, and this probably doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, we're
It
not
goes
all
a different
sitting here
direction.
Yeah.
because it changes a direction.
Yeah.
And
The dynamic.
so
So you, when he goes to the service, so you guys didn't see each other. He came home. Now, when he comes home, are you already
I am. I was a mother at 17.
right? So you're already
He went
Wow.
off to the service, and I went off to motherhood.
right.
So that's where we took hard turns. You know, he went one way,
Right.
I went the other. I had a child, and I met the father of my daughter, and him and I moved in with him. And, you know, like I said, life wasn't really any better at home, even with a baby.
Right.
So I had, it was, I was,
Real life.
I had
You
to go.
were going real life. Yeah. You
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
go. Right.
So my ex-husband took me and my son in, and you know, from growing up with what you grow up with, you really don't know what is right.
You don't know what's
You just know what's wrong.
You just know
Confusing.
dysfunction.
yeah.
Yes.
Like
and it's way. Me and my sister were talking about that yesterday. It's like we didn't know we were dysfunctional.